One of the big stories at City Hall this week was the council's decision to retain control of Hastings Park. And Hastings Park is kind of the east side's Stanley Park, and it's been a controversial topic for many years. The park was created in 1889, and so what happened for many years, like well over 100 years, we've had the Pacific National Exhibition holding its annual fair at the park. At times, this has caused some controversy with the residents in the area. They've wanted the park turned into green space, and that's been proceeding for quite a few years. But the issue that came up this week was who is going to govern Hastings Park. And Vision Vancouver controls all levels of government in Vancouver, including the City Council and the Park Board. Well, the Vision Vancouver Park Board wanted to be able to govern the park just like it governs other parks in the city. But City Council didn't want that, and it voted to reject that option, and it's going to appoint its own board of directors and basically give control to the Pacific National Exhibition. The history of the PNE is that it was in the hands of the provincial government for a long time. It was a crown corporation, just like BC Hydro or ICBC. So it was a company owned by the provincial government. And at one point, they were going to move to Burns Bog and move the fair to Burns Bog, which is in Delta. And then another point, they were going to move the fair to Surrey. And this was in response to the concerns of the local residents around the park who wanted a green park. Well, eventually, what happened was the provincial government in 2004 turned over control of the PNE, which is more than the fair. It also operates Playland and the Pacific Coliseum, turned over control of the PNE to City Council, to Vancouver City Council. So now it's a company that's owned by the city. And the chairman is one of the city councillors, Raymond Louie, and also on the board is the chair of the park board, Sarah Blythe. So you have this situation where the regulators, the park board chair, the city councillor, are also the directors of a company, and they have a fiduciary duty to the company as a director. So Raymond Louie introduced the motion at City Council this week, which will ensure that the city will control the park. So, and that was one of the big issues. Another issue that popped up in our paper this week, it was a follow-up on our coverage of the upcoming initiative on marijuana possession. The Green Party leader, Jane Sturck, has said that she is not going to support the initiative, which is backed by Sensible BC, which is to amend the Police Act to stop the police from arresting people for simple possession of marijuana. In the past, the Green Party has actually advocated for the legalization of marijuana, possession of marijuana, so it seemed a bit odd. Carlito Pablo, one of our reporters, interviewed Jane Sturck, and she talked about jurisdictional issues and suggesting that perhaps the legislature shouldn't be instructing the RCMP on what to do, because the RCMP is actually answerable to the federal government. And so it wasn't so much an issue of, legalization of marijuana, arresting people or not arresting. It was more about the jurisdictional issues. At the same time, the Sensible BC people are recruiting canvassers, trying to get volunteers, and they'll get people to sign petitions officially starting in September, and they'll have 60 days to collect enough signatures. They need 10% of the registered voters in all 85 provincial constituencies, and then the initiative will go forward to the chief electoral officer, and from there it can go in different directions. It's possible that it could lead to an initiative vote across the province, but that's still a long way away and far from certain. So for WOW TV, I'm Charlie Smith, Chief Editor of the Georgia Straight, and thanks for being with us today.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。